Hi, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you step by step how to build a stable or shed for your miniature terrain. Want to see how it's done? Stay tuned and let's check it out.
Using pizza box cardboard, you're going to reveal its corrugation because it is far more narrow, and then you're going to measure out some pieces as listed above. Now, once you get these pieces cut out, you're also going to make sure you reveal some other corrugated cardboard from a standard box because it does have wider spacing. Basically, the smaller corrugation is going to be the roof, and the larger cardboard is going to be your clapboard. Taking the wider spacing cardboard, and do make sure you do this on a large piece of cardboard, you're basically going to take your thumb and you're going to rub down in one direction to start making those raised bits fold over on themselves. Now, this is something that is easy to do and quick to do, but you're going to want to take a next step to make sure that these pieces stay folded over. So once you've initially taken this, what you're going to do is wet down your hands and then further smooth it down with your wet fingertips and palms to make sure that these pieces stay folded over each other. And the end result is going to give you something that looks like miniature clapboard. Now, a little trick is to push your hands on top and slide the piece up. And again, this is going to further encourage this to lie more flat, and then place a heavy object on top and allow this to dry. I do suggest overnight. Then taking a plastic bristle brush, you're then going to run this along the length of the clapboard to start giving the cardboard a little bit of a wood grain. To help reinforce the pizza box cardboard, I actually took more pizza box cardboard, and do make sure that you have overhang pieces as shown here, because this is important for the construction of the roof. So once you have your pieces cut out and you have the overhang as pictured, what you're going to want to do is hot glue these to each of the pieces just to make sure that roof has a nice solid base to work on. Once you've hot glued the pieces together, you are going to want to go around the edges and just run a very thin bead of hot glue around, and then use your nozzle to really push it into the corrugation of the pizza box cardboard that's been added for the reinforcement. Again, it's just a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm just using my nozzle to smooth the hot glue into the corners is essentially what's happening here. I'm not adding more glue as I go by, it's just using that nozzle to make sure it gets inside the corrugation. To start assembling your roof, you're going to take the 4 by 2 inch piece and run a bead of hot glue along one of the 4 inch lengths where the two pieces of cardboard are meeting evenly. You're then going to take the 4 by 1.5 inch piece and butt it up to that side and give it a slight angle. And you're going to want to hold this together until the glue cools to make sure it stays put. The other thing you want to be sure you do once this glue cools is to run an additional bead of hot glue where the two pieces have met on the underside where that white pizza box cardboard is. And to do that, just run a bead down and again use the nozzle of your hot glue gun to push the glue into the seam of where these pieces are meeting. The other thing you want to do is add some hot glue to the overhang parts just to make sure those are attached together as well. Same concept, put a little bead of hot glue and use the nozzle to smooth it out. You're then going to go to the other 4 inch length side of the 4 by 1.5 inch piece, and then you're going to butt up the 4 by 2 inch piece to that, again giving it a slight angle. And you're going to find that naturally, because of the way this is built, that angle is going to be easy to achieve. And you're going to do the same thing like you did to the other side, add in that reinforcement, make sure the overlap pieces are attached together, and this is your end result. At this point, I also suggest that you take your utility knife and you trim away any overlap pieces. At this point, we're going to create the side pieces to turn the roof into a sort of cap. And to do that, you're going to take more pizza box cardboard and you're going to trace out the shape of the angles for the roof. Once you've had that traced out with a mechanical pencil, making sure you stay to the inner portions of the pizza box cardboard, you're then going to basically just trim out the shape that you have just created. I do suggest using your cutting mat to help you keep your lines and angles a little bit more exact. Once you've done this, you'll find that you have a piece that is cut out, and then you're going to want to be sure that you trim it down to the height that you want for this. I did decide after cutting out the angled pieces that I wanted this to be a more narrow strip. And so basically what I did was I measured off where the pizza box cardboard on the inside ends off on both sides, and then you basically just cut away the side strips of the excess cardboard, as you can see here. And from there, what you're going to do is figure out how high you want your piece to be. I kept it on the more narrow side because I didn't want this to take up the whole wall of the shed or stable, whichever you're building at this point. And I did find that using scissors to cut off that excess strip did help in making sure that line was a little less wonky, because it was a little bit more difficult to trim away that piece with a utility knife. Now the nice thing is once you have this piece cut out, you can use it as a template for the other side of the roof. So take your mechanical pencil and you're going to trace that out, and then you're going to just do a quick test fit to be sure everything's okay. And once you are ready, you will end up with 2 pieces to go on either side of your roof, and this is going to create the sides for the cap part of your build. And to attach it, just take a nice bead of hot glue and you're going to press this up against the other cardboard underneath the eaves of the roof. And again, go through and reinforce by putting in some hot glue in those seams. And the one last little piece you're going to want to address is that little strip in the front portion of your roof. Attaching it to the front and then carefully trimming away the excess with my utility knife, giving it a very gentle sawing motion. And again, anytime you attach these together, do make sure you put in that extra reinforcement of hot glue. You're going to start with a piece of insulation foam that measures 4 inches by 1 inch. And then you're going to quarter it off and you're going to end up with 4 pieces that end up looking like this. And these are going to be your posts. You first want to add your wood grain by taking your plastic bristle brush and pulling from top to bottom, create that wood grain effect. It does help to press in a little bit deeper if you want the wood grain to be more pronounced. You can take your mechanical pencil and also add in some knots of wood just by wiggling it around a little bit in a circular motion. Once you have this done, you are going to have to do a 45-degree angle cut on one of the top pieces of your posts and then hot glue these into the corners of your roof piece at the edges of the pizza box cardboard. To measure out the clapboard, I took the cardboard and I placed it up against the build, and I just marked off where the edges of the bottom of the post and the top of the roof area hit for one side of this build. And once you mark those pieces off, what you can then do is measure out your width and your length from there. And what I do recommend is once you have measured out your width and your length using your cutting mat, flip the piece of cardboard over so that you have the back side of the cardboard facing you. Then measure off your piece and cut it out using a metal ruler and your sharp utility knife. This makes it a much easier cut than trying to cut through the clapboard side, as you can see here. Once you have your piece cut out, you're going to hot glue it directly up against one side of your foam posts. Do make sure it has cooled completely before releasing. The other thing you may want to do is add in things like doors and windows. Make sure you do this before you put these pieces onto your build. And again, it is much easier to work from the back side of these cardboard pieces than it is for the sides that have the clapboard on it. And here you can see I'm cutting out a door, and again, I decided to go with scissors for this part because sometimes the clapboard can catch on the utility knife. This just gives a little bit of a cleaner cut when you're working against the clapboard. You can use your utility knife when you're working with the lengths of the clapboard though. So this is how I got the door created, and for other options, you can just use strips of different heights and different widths to help create whatever visual you want to create. Essentially, you want to make sure you get all 4 sides put together, and as you can see there on that one side, that was the stable feature. So if you don't want to make this a stable, just make all 3 sides fully complete pieces and have the doorway opening if you want more of a shed effect. Now the last thing you're going to need to do is reinforce where those seams meet up between the cap of the roof and the clapboard. So I just took some strips of pizza box cardboard cut to the length of the side that fit between the 2 posts, put on some hot glue and just press it against gently, and there you go. All of the trim work has been done with wooden coffee stir sticks, and I recommend that you first put the lengths of the trim up first and then work with the width of the trim work that you want to do. So here you can see on the door, I first did the length pieces of the vertical height, and then using my nippers, I just trimmed off the excess. And then taking another coffee stir stick, I put it across the horizontal bit of the top of the door, marked off where the edges were from the other 2 stir sticks, nip off the ends, and hot glued the top piece into place. And I basically decided to put this trim work on the portions where the cap met the clapboard, as well as on the corner edges as well, to give it a finished off look. You will also want to put some coffee stir sticks on the inside of the clapboard at the bottom to reinforce the base. Now the piece that measured 2 by 1.5 inches is actually the awning piece for the door opening. So when it comes time to make your door, you do want to make sure that it is the same width as this awning piece of 2 inches. So what you're going to do is first take a coffee stir stick and add it to the front portion. I then took thick cardstock, and what you're going to do is run a length of glue along one edge of the pizza box cardboard, place the cardstock on top of that, and fold it up towards the top portion of the awning. You can then trim away a little bit of excess. You don't want to have too much there. Once you trim away that excess, put on a strip of hot glue, and what you're going to do is feed this through the opening of the door and press it up against the back portion of the clapboard so that it acts as a reinforced bit to keep that awning nice and in place from when you hang it. Now the other thing I did want to be sure of is to add side support. So again, we went to the coffee stir sticks, cut at a 45-degree angle on one side, attach it up against the awning bottom, and then the cool little thing about the clapboard is all you need to do is make sure that that post is sitting on the inside of the door, and what you're going to do is put a little dollop of glue into the clapboard area where you can tuck it in. And once you get that dollop of hot glue in, you're just going to pop the bottom piece of that post in and press until it cools and holds in place. And this is how you reinforce your awning. At this point, this is the end of the build for your stable or shed. Now I am including some pictures here to show you how I ended up painting this particular piece to give you an idea of what's coming for next week. However, if you've already built the barn and you want to pair this to go with the barn, then I'm going to recommend that you go over and watch the barn painting video to finish this up to look like the red barn build. So please be sure to join me next week, and you can check out how to get this painted up in the style that you see here. As always, please feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below, or you can email me at thecraftingmuse.email@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you've liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and as always, you are welcome to subscribe while you are here. Take care everyone, and I will see you later. Welcome to new channel champion Jan for joining my Patreon community. If you would like to join as well, do make sure to check out the link in the description below.
We're recording. Oh, it counts you down. That's cool. Using a new program for the intro recording, and it does 3, 2, oh god, 3, 2, 1, and it lets you know. I know how to count. I can count on my fingers. I bit my tongue last night, and it's making me speak funny because there's like this little taste bud blister. It hurts. All right, so this is me flat foot. This is me on tippy toes. Dollar? Not so dull. Dollar? Who would have thought those years of ballet would come in handy to make myself look taller? Because, you know, I'm not 5'9" like everyone seems to think I am. Secret zone! You know what? I think I just might call it. I don't know. Hate to break it to you guys, there's not that many bloopers this go around. I'm a woman on a mission, and I got my take. What can you do? Go watch the live stream. You can hear a kitten running around like an elephant. An elephant. Bye!